Hi, welcome to 16-Bit Bench, Matt here. Today we're going to make some more Gameboy Macros. I was going to do this as a live stream, but then I realised I can't connect this camera to the internet. So what I'll do is I'll just do it as an unedited video, and you'll see how easy it is to make these Gameboy Macros or Gameboy Advances or Gameboy Macro Advances or Neon Advances or Argon Advances is what I'm calling them, but whatever you call them. They are really easy to make, and we're going to make two of them at the same time. So what the parts you're going to need to do this, obviously you're going to need some DS lights. You can also use the normal old DS, the big chunky one, but basically you want one that supports Game Boy Advance games, otherwise what's the point? Then you need two replacement shells, and I've got a metallic red, a metallic and silver one, obviously metallic silver. You're going to need some LEDs, so I've got a red and a white LED. Well, I'll put them in that way maybe. And those both need current limiting resistors, so we've got two 330 ohm resistors that will go in line with those guys. To go on the upper hinge part, so in this bit, once you've removed the top, we've got some acrylic, clear acrylic rod. This is 6mm thick rod, and I've got enough to do two. Yeah, that's not quite long enough, so got enough to do two. Really cheap on eBay, as are these replacement shells as well. They're all really cheap, and of course broken DSs are super cheap. I don't think I paid more than £3 or £4 for each of these. Other things you're going to need: tools, screwdriver, Triwing. That's the 3-pointed screwdriver that's you use to take apart Nintendo stuff, and you need that for these guys. You probably don't need it for these. These come with normal screws, but take DS parts, you need a Triwing. We're going to have a hot glue to glue some bits together, so got a hot glue gun. Got a big drill. That is a 7mm bit, and the purpose of that bit is to drill out one of the ends of the hinge covers, because they're not quite 6mm, so we use the drill to drill those out a little bit. Obviously not on a nice slow setting. Soldering iron, always need that. A little bit of wire, put in the connecting LEDs up, and I think that is it. Other things that come in useful: game for testing, and a DS charging cable for charging up your DS. So let's go. Step one is to confirm that your broken DSs are working and also broken, so at the same time. So as I said in my previous video when I was showing off the clear one, I'm not a fan of destroying working anything really. If it's working, why break it? I saw yesterday someone posted they'd bought an Atari Lynx and they were going to gut it for a Raspberry Pi, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Fix the Lynx unless it's completely trashed, and I do have a fair amount of trash stuff. Unless it's completely trashed, you do not kill things. Right, so let's test this Game Boy. So it's in auto start mode, so it will go straight into the Game Boy Advance game. So this is telling us that the bottom screen is working. Let's turn it off again. Take the game out. Turn it on. As you can see, the top screen is trashed. So not only is the hinge broken, but this guy has all kinds of problems. Now, that's not to say that this machine would be a total write-off. It's completely plausible that you can replace the parts on this and you could bring it back to working health. You could replace the upper screen and you could replace the hinge, but it's not very cost effective. And while I said I'm not a fan of killing things that work, I am a fan of reusing things that are broken. So let's just test the green one. As you can see, the upper screen has nothing on it whatsoever. It's just the backlight comes on it and does nothing. Hinge is super floppy too. And let's just put game in that. Oh, it's got its cover. That's pretty rare. Those usually get lost almost immediately. we go. Boots into Game Boy Advance mode. Good news. Okay. The final step in this, if we jump way ahead, the final step in this refurbishment, Game Boy Macro build, will be to replace the batteries in here. I'm not going to leave the stock batteries in because they are old and they are unreliable. Okay, so what we're going to do first is put these to one side, and we're going to open up one of our replacement housings and just look at the kind of parts that come with it. Got lovely metallic red here. Obviously we don't need this bit at all. Nice bit of spongy stuff. So it comes with all the buttons you need. Just check the printing on those. So the clear case, the one I built my first one out, the printing on the buttons was pretty trash. And to be fair, on this one it's pretty trash as well. So that's disappointing, but you know, it comes with all the screws and the springs for the shoulder buttons. And then in here is the slot cover. Die out. And we got a stylus and everything. Let's just check the sticker pack. So in the upper lid, yeah, you're going to have to put with noise all the way through this because the garage over the road is super noisy. So you've got the screw, you've got the button pack, the screw pack and the sticker pack. In the sticker pack, you mostly won't need this stuff. I'm hoping there will be. No. I was kind of hoping there would be a barcode for the back of the unit, but there's not, so whatever, we'll live with that. So the upper screen parts we don't need, and we'll put those to one side. So the only bits we really need are the buttons and the lower screen parts. We don't really need the screen covers, we're not going to use those. Hold on obviously to this cover, we will want that, we'll put that with those. Okay, so our red one's fine. Let's check the silver one. Some of these cases will actually come with screwdrivers, some don't. Really depends on the manufacturer. I can see these ones are made by different companies. So this one has none of the writing on the back, well this one does. But again, they're all Chinese knockoffs. None of them are original OEM cases from Nintendo. So there's the top of our silver case. Again, we don't need that. There's the screen covers. We don't need that. Let's just see where it's all been spray painted. There's the cartridge colour. Yep, we get the bits in there and the bits in there. This one comes with grey buttons instead of silver buttons. So what we're going to do, get rid of that. What we're actually going to do is we're going to take these two bits and we're going to take their buttons and we're going to do this. And then we're going to put the white LED in this one and the red LED in this one, and then they'll be nice and accented with respect to each other. So that's what we're going to build. We're going to build a red on silver and a silver on red. That's why I bought two cases. I think that'll look pretty cool. So the next step is to put this all to one side, is remove from these cases the bits we won't be using, which is the housing for the stylus take out our cheap nasty styli. It comes out. It's got a removable nib, and what we're going to do is just unscrew swap my drill bit, my screw bit, it's too big. And we just have a pot for spare screws. And I hold on to all these screws, obviously, as they become useful for other things. Okay, so that's the housing for the stylus, and obviously we don't need that because we're not going to be using a stylus on our Advances. We'll actually remove the touchscreen completely from the DS, and I'm not really sure what this bit's for, but we don't need that either. I think I remember clipping some of this plastic out on the other one, but we'll see. You're going to get a jump cut every 12 minutes because the camera only records in 12-minute chunks, and also the memory card will fill up at some point and I'll have to swap it out. So yeah, I think I have to cut these bits out. There's ridges here. I think they have to come out because the speaker goes in this area, but we'll see as we go along. Well, obviously it was easier with the clear case, because I can see exactly what I was doing. Okay, so next step is to dismantle our DSs, and for that we'll need the Triwing. DSs are pretty easy to take apart. All we'll need is something to pry them open with, and craft knife to get these feet off. You could just use a screwdriver for that. So undo the battery compartment. Just do a visual inspection of your battery, just make sure it's not all bulgy if you're going to continue to use it, but like I said, I'm going to remove these anyway. So there's 3 Triwings on the DS. There's one here, and there's one in the middle here. Wrong screwdriver. Okay, so see this screw here in the middle of the battery compartment? Don't actually undo that one yet. You don't need to. Missed a screw. God, what a nightmare. I'm not even undoing half the screws. Don't blame me if you turn off right now because I'm so crap. So yeah, hold on to all the bits because you never know when one bit from the new shell might be crap or it might go missing. I mean, you can tell the difference between the official shells and the repro shells, mainly because the official shells have sort of a clear plastic outer. Obviously, the repro shells do not have. and you can tell these ones are spray painted, not actually the colours that they say they are. Okay. So on the keep that bit of metal. On the bottom of the DS, you've got the Wi-Fi. That needs to remain connected. It doesn't need to remain connected to its antenna, so we can pop that antenna off, both. But it does need to remain connected to the board, or you have to know which pins to put a resistor on. So I found the easiest thing to do is just leave it. But there's two antennas connected, or just connections in general. Mini coax, there's one there and there's one there. We unplug those. And I'll just cut those in a minute. Other than that, that's pretty much it. So what we'll do is unscrew the board from the top. Just push on the screen and flip it up this way. And then flip up the zero insertion force connector that's holding the screen on. And then they threaded the Wi-Fi antenna under the DS cartridge slot, so it is a bit tricky to get it out. So this is the bit that we actually need, so we'll put that safe to one side. We'll keep the rubbers, we'll keep the buttons until we're absolutely confident that we don't need them. And for the most part, that's it. What we do also need is the left and right speakers from the upper lids. It does mean we have to take that apart. And to do that, it's 4 screws hidden under little rubber pads that are on the front of the screen. And again, you can use a screwdriver or just something pointy. Come on. Of course, you can be more elegant. But I don't care about these pink ones. So many pink DS Lites in the world. I think you see them everywhere, the pink ones. Why does no one like the pink ones? Okay, and then probably want something like a spudger or just anything that lets you prise this open. Just mute my computer so it's not doing that all the time. Come in. So left and right speakers on the top of the screen. You only need this one with the nice long cables. This one with the short cables is no good to us because it is too short. And then if I plugged my soldering line in, I would desolder the pads, but I haven't, so I'm just going to cut them. we go. I mean, if you were repairing this, obviously be gentle, but I'm not, so I'm not. There we go, speakers. And that is pretty much the end of the pink Lite Shell. That's it, we don't need any more of that. So let's move on to the green one. Someone's been in this one before. Take a note of the length of the screws as well. There's longer screws go in some positions, and the problem is if you put too long of a screw somewhere, you will cause you basically just push through the front of the case, and it will be an unsightly blemish on your case, which you want to avoid. Yeah, someone's definitely been in here before. Screws are in the wrong order. There's a tri-wing in this hole. There's a pad missing. The screw that's going to go inside the DS slot is actually on the wrong side of the case. That might explain why the screen's dead. Again, do a visual inspection on the battery just to make sure it's not all bulgy. This one again is good, so we got off quite well there. Yeah, there shouldn't be a tri-wing here. There should be one there, and there isn't. I don't know about you, but I always get concerned when I'm opening a console and I find evidence that someone's been in there before me, because a lot of the stuff I buy is on eBay is untested, non-working. Haven't had time to test this because I'm so busy buying and selling stuff on eBay kind of shit, and most of the time you get away with it because maybe it's a really simple fault, or maybe they really didn't test it, or maybe they just, if it's an old console, they don't realize that it's RF, it's not composite, so they plug it in and they can't get a picture of it, and they get all confused and stuff. So you get away with it. But sometimes, when I buy something untested off eBay, that someone's been writing in here. When I get something untested on eBay and I open it up and it's got evidence that someone's been in there, it usually means that it's dead, that someone's tried to fix it and then given up. Okay, it's the same deal as before. Let's just unplug the antenna for the Wi-Fi and then the other antenna down there, which I don't know what it's for. I'm sure I could look it up, but I don't care that much. Lift up the top, pull out unthread that Wi-Fi antenna cable from under the cartridge slot. I feel sorry for the poor guy in the factory that had to thread that in, but that's a horrible job. Okay, we don't need this, so what I'm going to do is just cut the end off it and then it'll just come straight out. It's not mess around. Again, that's the bit we're actually interested in, so we'll put that to one side. Again, we'll save the rubbers and the buttons just in case. Now we will retrieve the speaker from the upper case. You can see on this one, I noticed it before, someone's replaced the sort of hinge mechanism. It's like a little metal barrel that goes here with a piece of wood. bit of wooden dowel. It's inventive. It's a great solution to what is an annoying problem. In there. There we go. Plop. Okay, and all I'm doing is just snipping off the bit of the ribbon cable that sticks out, that carries the speakers on it. Don't pull on the little wires too much, they're very delicate. And then we'll just pull the ribbon cable through. There we go. Another pair of speakers liberated. And, oh, pull the ribbon cable in half. Should I save the piece of wood for posterity? No, out the window. Gone. And that's it. That's the green DS done. So we've what we've got now is two lower boards for DSIs, DS lights, and two replacement cases, and some other bits and pieces and some screws. And what we're going to do is make some Gameboy Macros or Macro Advances or Neon Advances or whatever you're going to call them. Okay, so step number one is to take our upper case parts. So we'll start with the red one, and I need the red hinge. So what you'll get in your button pack is some bits and pieces. Come on, open. Just take those out. Right, so the buttons, side switches, we'll save all those. You get this part, which is the other side of the hinge. See, it's that bit. That's the only side that's actually removable. This side isn't. What we're going to do is our pipe is going to go in here like that. It's going to be that long. I missed out one of the things you need. Hacksaw or any saw. You're going to need one of these for cutting the acrylic tube. So this comes with a little light pipe, this clear plastic bit. So we'll put that in. Just make sure you get it the right way around. I think it's that way. Or is it that way? I think it's that way. Yep, there we go, got it right. So this is where your drill comes in. So on this end, there's a cup for receiving the other end of the hinge. So it would have been that wooden piece of dowel I just threw away. What we want is a hole that's big enough to accept our acrylic rod. So what we need to do is just drill this out very gently. Tell you what, let's get a bit of card. I'm going to keep that box. A bit of paper. Okay. Get a bit of cardboard, a bit of paper. Put your hinge in there so it's just protruding from the end like that. Then grab a reasonable sized pair of pliers, like these ones. Use that to grip. This is a little fiddly job. we go. So you can see I've widened the end there, and then that should just be enough to take the end of the rod like that. And it is. You're just sitting there quite nicely. Take it down. And split a little bit. Just pop that back with a bit of glue. So then we just need to not put that in yet. On this side, this is where our LED is going to be housed. So why don't we build that first? Let's just check the color of my LED. So these LEDs, the long leg is the positive leg. That's the white one, which we're going to use for this guy. And what I'll do is I'll put the LED, the resistor for the LED on the positive leg, so I know which leg is which. And we'll just do that now. Now I'll do them both at the same time. Helping hands. There it is. So plug in our hot glue gun. So get your LED and bend it like that, so it's see that? It's that 90-degree angle. And then we're going to sink, we're going to fill this void with hot glue and just sink the LED into there. And then what we need to do before we do that is just put some leads on it. They don't need to be very long, but always longer than you need. We'll just tin the ends of the leads and tin the ends of the LED. Yeah, I have to pull this noise all day. It drives me fucking mental. Okay, so what we should do next is just measure up our inanimate carbon rod so it's long enough. So you want to fit it in. And then you look at your other hinge thing, and you know how deep you can go. So, and on here, there's 2 screw holes. No, it's 2 like sort of registration holes. You kind of just want to cut it as sort of to the middle of those first two holes. There we go. Just grab a vice. I don't a handsaw I recommend over a Dremel, because even on the lower setting I'm finding the cutting discs on the Dremel do melt acrylic even on the lower settings, so you know a handsaw is probably better. Swarf everyone, just get rid of that. And then, if you have any, a fine grit sandpaper, so this one is 320, and just give that smoothing off on the end there. There we go. So let's just test fit our acrylic tube. Make sure it's not too long, and if it's too long we'll sand it a little bit more. I think that's a tad too long, it's just like half a mil too long. So we'll just sand that guy a little bit more. Perfect. There we go. So our next step is just to screw in the 2 screws that are designed to go in the end there. You know what? I'm just going to pinch the 2 screws from the original top. Oh. Yeah, as I thought, they're quite long, because originally they would have been designed to hold a lot of force. Off cut. Here, the screws are too fat. annoying. Let's have a look at our screw pack, see what we get in here. Yeah, there's two smaller ones in here. I have to use those ones. Yeah, either some kind of moulding error or just through being cheap. The screw holes on the new case are much thinner than the ones on the old case. Now I could force the big screws into the holes, but it's more likely it's going to split, and don't want to do that. Okay, so that is the it's kind of the bit that makes it this build a little bit special, is having that light pipe there. So next we are going to fill this hole with glue, and then we're going to sink our LED into it, and then we can test our light pipe. So I've got glue everywhere. Goddamn glue gun. So just squidge a whole load of glue in there. Blip, 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 blip. You've got about 3 or 4 minutes. Not even that. A minute before it goes off. And what that glue also will hold the that end of the pipe, stop it moving around, so it won't spin anymore. Yeah, it's started to go off. You can tell with hot glue because it goes from clear to cloudy. As once it's cloudy, it's finished setting. Yeah, don't need to hold it now. It's nearly done. Let's put those screws there. I've just got this little bit of case I need to glue back on and split off. Hot glue might not be my ideal. No, don't think I can do that with hot glue. Oh, I might have to use a tiny dab of super glue. So Try to avoid super glue with clear plastics because it fogs. There we go. Okay, and our glue is set. Right, so what we'll do is just expose the ends here, and then we can do a test of the light pipe. So I've just got a bench power supply set to 5 volts. The purple is the positive and the white cable is the negative. Let's move you out of the way. Make those a bit longer. There we go, there's a light pipe. Can you see that? Ethereal elvish glow. It's pretty awesome. With the grey buttons and stuff, that'll look really good. So I need to empty out the camera right now. And I think it needs to cool down as well, so I'll come back to this in a second. Hey, welcome back. Sorry about that. While you were away, I took the opportunity to do the second light pipe on the silver one. So let's just test that now. Yeah, sorry, my camera can't do more than say 45 minutes at a time without overheating because it's a DSLR, it's not a video camera. And the reason I have a DSLR is because that's the camera I had. I'm not buying a new camera, so yeah, tough. Yeah, and then I got a message from the shipping company I was using. So I'm trying to send something to Russia, and the Russian guy used Cyrillic in his address, and they're like, our system doesn't support Cyrillic. I'm like, isn't this the 21st century? For God's sake. Okay. Oh, and I unplugged the camera. Okay, here we go. There's the red pipe. Obviously, it looks better on person than it does in the camera, but I think that's pretty cool. Let's turn that off. Okay, so that's the upper cases of the two Neon Advances, Argon Advances. It's not a Neon Advance. It's not. So that's that's the two upper cases done with the red LED in the silver one and the white LED in the red one, and I think they look pretty good. So now we move on to the boards. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove the entire upper touch screen from the boards because we don't need that, and then we're going to bulk them out with a bit of foam. So in order to remove the touchscreen, there's a zero force insertion clip just above the Wi-Fi adapter. I'm going to pull that out. And then we're going to get under the touchscreen, and the touchscreen forms sort of the bulk of the screen, and that just comes off. So that's the touchscreen assembly. It's the upper sort of bezel thing for the screen, and then there's a big bit of glass, and that's the touchscreen, and that's awful. It blocks quite a lot of the light from the screen, so by removing it, what we're doing is actually sort of improving the dynamic range of the screen. And so what I might do is stick the bezel back. Yeah, if I did that on the silver one, I think that would look pretty good. And then there's a screen protector, because otherwise there's no screen protector. Is it that one? I'll just get the screen. I just threw in the bin. What is on there? Yeah, there's a... I'm not so sure now. Think about that, maybe. What do you think? What do you think of that? How does that look? I don't like that. Maybe with the red buttons in it, it would look alright though. So like, yeah, that's okay. Was it this one? What's on the upper screen? Yeah, it's supposed to be. That one goes on the upper screen. Yeah. I don't know. What else do I get? Sticky foam for the touchscreen we don't need. The thing is, that's just going to pop out of there, and I don't think that's adhesive. Whereas that one is. That would stick. Yeah, I'm going to probably put the raised bezel back on the screen, but I can do that as a final step. I don't need to do that first. One thing I did notice about these replacement cases, they don't come with the rubbers, so it's a good job I didn't chuck any rubbers away. That would have been stupid. Right. So now we need to modify the boards, and it's pretty easy. So if we just move the screen out of the way, I'll tell you what. I'll get my camera and we'll do a close-up. Okay, so on the board we've got some pads here. You've got LED A2 and LED C2, so they're like the pads that are sensed when it's turned on to make sure the backlight of the upper screen is still connected. So we need to solder one of our the positive lead of our LED to one of these pads, and then the negative one to the other one. And then we've got speaker left and speaker right, so it's SPRO and SPLO. Then we need to solder our speaker to one of these, like the red wire, and then the black wire goes to ground over here. And that is the four wires that you need to solder to the board. So that's what makes it pretty easy. Yeah, so C2 is the negative leg of the LED. So what we can do now is screw the front of the case on, so I can assemble the whole thing. So I've got my red buttons, got my pads, just put it all together. Don't need the triggers yet, we'll put those in last. They mostly are held in the upper bit. Don't need the slidey switches, they go in, again they go in on the upper bit, so just put those to one side. All we need is the buttons and the D-pad, and that includes the two little buttons as well. So let's just put this all together. The little button goes in here, the little button goes in here, and then all the A, B, X, Y buttons are keyed. Hopefully the right way, probably not. B goes there. I think A goes there. X goes up top, does it? Yep. And Y goes. And then the rubber for the ABXY buttons has a square in the middle of it, so that's where you know it goes there. And then the D-pad has a hole in the middle because there's a pin in the middle of the D-pad, and that goes there. And then we make little square rubbers for the two buttons there, and that is pretty much the entire upper case. Let's just put that in. Oh yeah, what I need to do is add some foam to the back of there. So I've just got some foam out, anything that's really squidgy. It's twice as thick as you need, so I'm going to cut it in half with a craft knife. Of course, non-conductive foam, but you know, conductive foam is much rarer than non-conductive foam. So. Okay, and then we just take this square and we just cut that in half very badly. And then I'll just get my hot glue gun and I'll put a splodge of glue there, and a bit of foam, and a splodge of glue there, and a bit of foam. And that's basically enough to replace sort of the size of the touchscreen that we removed. Right. What I need to do now is just solder my LED wires to their position. So we're just going to cut those to size. Should be enough. I thing about these tiny wires is it's just easier to strip them with your thumbnail, so you know, don't bite your fingernails. So positive to LED A, negative to LED C. Pair of tweezers. As soldering jobs go, if you're a beginner to soldering, I suppose you would find this a fiddly job. But once you've soldered a few things, this is not really what I would consider a fiddly job anymore. A fiddly job is trying to solder S&D, 60 leg chip to a board. Okay, that's one of our jobs done, and then we grab our speaker with the long lead on it. Put the speaker in, so just desolder it from that, and then that's pretty much junk. Don't need that now. I'm going to wire up the right one. Is the Gameboy Advance stereo? I don't think it is. Okay, and that I think is pretty much it for the soldering. Okay, so now we put our thing back together. Just make sure none of the wires get pinched. You want the speaker wires to kind of come up sort of into this area. There's a little peg here. I just want to be around here, and then it'll come sort of round the back of there, and sort of the speaker will live here. There you go, how's that looking? It's pretty good, yeah? So there's two screws that hold down the board to the front piece of the case, and they're there. So let's just get some, and they're quite small ones, not long ones. Short is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, I'm just going to put that in there. I think that would be pretty cool. We will do that towards the end. Okay, the point that we're at now is actually one of the first points that we can start testing, just to make sure that we haven't busted anything. So let's get game. You have to hold the battery in this position, you see, like that, and then your power switch is over here. Turn that on. There we go. Even the sound's working. So let's turn that off. That's pretty good news, you know. Nothing's misplaced, nothing's failed. What we need to do is run the cables and then just hot glue the speaker to. There's an IC here that just pops up. It doesn't get hot, so it's nothing to worry about with the hot glue. It's not going to melt. We just put a blob there, and then we can just glue the speaker to it. What was that? So it fell over. Then we need to run the wires around the back of the battery connector. So where's the silver back? Where did I put you? Here. It's going to go there. Let's take the car out. Just do a dry fit at this point. Yeah, don't have to cut those things away. The speaker, it's fine where it is. I think it's fouling over here. Let's just move that. Yeah, it seems to be okay. There's always a bit of jiggery pokery you need to do. What did I miss out when I talked about tools? Well, I think it's a small drill bit because we're going to have to drill some speaker holes. So if you look at how we've laid this out, the speaker's coming out here near the stylus hole. So what I'm going to do is actually block up this stylus hole when I find what I did with the shitty stylus. There it is. So I'm going to hot glue the stylus into the hole so it stays there, but not the whole thing, obviously. We're going to chop. You don't have to do this, you could just leave a hole there, or you could put something else in its place. But this is what I did on the first one, so I want to try it again. There's not quite enough room, so let's cut the stylus to bits. it's just a little bit bent. Let's bend it back. Like so. Put hot glue. Is there anything you can't solve with hot glue? I suppose having too much hot glue is probably something you can't solve with hot glue. I'm sorely tempted to cut these bits out. Yeah, why not? They're just in the way to where the speaker is. Where's my... Yeah. So I've got these flush cutters. You see they cut flush. So I'm just going to nibble off these bits. Flush cutter fail. They are pretty knackered and old. There we go. So what I've removed is this bit of plastic from this area here, just because it seems to me it's in the way of the speaker.
I'm here.
Are you Siri? Hey Siri, what's going on? Why don't you fuck off? So what I need now is my drill bits. So I got a 2mm bit, which is not quite the smallest bit you can get, but pretty small. I don't need to use the massive drill, but you know, why not? So just eyeing it up, the speaker is in this area. So I'm going to drill 5 holes in a domino pattern. You think I could drill them straight, but apparently not. Like that, you see those? Yeah, you can see those. Try not to draw your fingers. So I actually sold the clear one to some guy in America. I was surprised. So I had it up on eBay and yeah, just bought it. There you go, there's some holes in the back. Is it pretty? So we're nearly done with the silver one, then we just need to do the red one. Tricky bits from here are the left and right triggers. They need some bars and some springs, which we do get in the kit, so let's just pull those out. include these bars here. So I found the easiest way for me to do these is into the back rather than into the front of the unit. You have to also, these wires here need to be sort of under the board. If they're in, they can't really be in this area. This area is sort of reserved for the trigger. So let's just pull those down so they're there. Same goes for the speaker wires. They can't really, because you see there's a point here. This is the other end of the trigger. What I might do is just, because I can see that's the problem, to snip out. Oh no, there's room. There's room. There's room. There's room. Just put a hot glue there, aka modder's helper. Should do the trick. Now to get your triggers, get your springs. And the way the springs work is they get the other side of the screw posts. Gets in there. I think they do anyway. Can't check, they all sprung out of those. I think that should be that. So we take. So the easiest way is to lower the top onto the bottom, not lower the bottom onto the top, just because otherwise all your posts and springs will pop out. But they already threaten to do without any intervention. Hey, nearly forgot. Well, I think there's the battery compartment has a little metal thing, and on this one they've replaced it with plastic, which I suppose is alright. I'm not going to mess about with it too much, but it's kind of hidden behind the volume slider. So I need to put the volume slider in. And then the power switch goes over here. Fiddly jobs. God damn it. I think that's upside down. Let's have a look. No, that is right. It's just sticky. Now we fall afoul of cheap Chinese moulding because the slot for the power switch is too small. So we'll just trim that with a knife. Where did that go? There it is. And of course I've lost a spring. Okay, power switch down, volume slider to the maximum. Right, we should just be able to slot this guy in now. Something is stopping me. Is it just the power switch? Does it just need to be tilted? Yes, it does. Okay, so we'll pop in some screws. Yeah, that's fine, that side. That's a bit problematic on this side. I think that's because of where our LED is. You just need to make enough space around sort of the edge of this gap for the switch sort of to sit in. Okay, let's try that again. Power switch over here. Damn it. This is the most fiddly part of this, is just getting the fucking triggers back. Left trigger nearly engaged. Okay, left trigger engaged. And it's out again. Come on. Behave. Okay, we're nearly there. you get one in, and then the other one pops out. I honestly didn't have as much trouble with the first one as I'm having here. There we are. Are we in? I think it's just because the moulding on these cases is not exact. What I might need to do is just pop some screws in just to hold it. Let's have a look at our screw collection. What have we got? That would be good. One there. Let's just undo the battery case. Okay, that's worked to our favour, so now it should be easier to keep these switches in. There we go. Bit fiddly, but we got there in the end. Still works. Just put a game in. Yeah, power button's a bit stiff. Oh God, get on with it. The only other game I've got is Madagascar, and that's even worse. Okay, anyway. That is the silver Argon Advance done. Yeah. And we'll finish the red one in a second. What I want to do is just clean this screw because I've got fingers all over it. And then the thing I was umming and ahhing about is putting this back in. We'll just put this back in because I think it does look good. Yay, red on silver. I think that looks pretty good. Kind of like an Iron Man sort of thing. Right, let's finish it up. I mean, the only thing is that button is really stiff. Oh. Right, let's put that to one side on the finished pile. Now we need to take our red one and let's just make the same modifications we did to the silver one. So we'll take out this bit of plastic from here. We don't need that. We'll get our stylus and we'll chop it in pieces. Fell in half. Anyway, it's still glowing. Yeah, the plastic on the red one is just a bit more brittle than the plastic on the silver one. It's not, you know, I've had a couple of cracks. Nothing catastrophic, but it would have been nice to keep it pristine. assemble our buttons. Hey, yep. So the camera overheated again and was full up. So I had to wait for it to cool down, which means you've missed me doing most of the red one. Mostly done now, and it's now the point that I was struggling at with the last one, which is the triggers and the springs. So let's get the two dowels, metal dowels that we need. If you look at the speaker, there's a blue cable on it. I replaced the red cable because they are borderline too short for the run, and it just, through whatever vagaries, it was too short this time. I had to replace it. Let's just make sure there's space for everything. Okay, so same deal as before. Let's put the poles in. See, the reason I kept all the bits and pieces from the old ones is because you never know what's going to be missing in the repro cases. In this case, there were no springs, which would have been a pain. So what we need is the power switch and the volume switch. We'll just put those in. Hopefully they will fit a bit nicer, play a bit nicer. Sorry, I'm always working at the top of the screen. It's just that's what's closest to me. If I zoomed out a bit more, all you'd see is my belly and the floor. Get in there, come on. There we go. And of course it fell out immediately. But how can it be so hard to get in? And then so easy to get out again. Okay. It's the volume slider, we'll put the power switch in. Yeah, nice and smooth, unlike the other one. It's too tight. Okay, so we'll put the power slider to maximum. Put that there. Slot the springs back in. I wonder how they fit these in the factory, because they're such a fiddle. There must be something that just holds them in. Does it concern anyone else that everything is made in China? I mean, like everything now. What happens if China wants to stop making things? Okay, that is pretty much that. Let's see how this goes. Something is obstructing me. Yeah, I think it's the cable. What's the problem here? Yes, the speaker cables. It is less than ideal doing it the way I got it. There's no spare room inside the DS. There are one or two places you can put things, but other than that, there's no real spare room. So you just need to be mindful. Oh, for fuck's sake. Where we run our cables. Looks like the charging port is not coming in. Yeah, maybe just a bit of pressure and just get the button down and see. Oh, this is the least fun bit of this. I'm sorry you have to see it twice. Okay, so if I pop a few screws in, this should benefit. Yeah, see, there's a problem on this side. Like the charging port's kind of pushing against the plastic, where it's not made exactly right. So we're just gonna have to force it, see if it will sit. There we go. Okay, let's power this bad boy on, see if it works. Looking good, let's put a game in it. Yep, what's up? Let's see if I can find Madagascar, just because the game takes so long to get into. I need more GB Advanced games. No, I can't find it. Okay. Feed run ears. Let's clean the screen. Hey, the screen bezel's black for this one, which doesn't fit our silver aesthetic. So, what I'll do, we just need to. What I'll do is I'll leave the silver of the LCD visible, but it does just need some glue cleaning off it. It's the same thing I did with the clear one. Why is there glue all over it? Ding. There we go. That's pretty much the end of the video. Hooray! God, I have no idea how long this is because obviously I've stopped to let the camera cool down at certain points, so it's longer for me than it is for you. Let's just zoom in, shall we? There we go. We have the silver on red and the red on silver Argon Advances. So that's how easy they are to make. It took, it's 11:24 now. I think I started at 9, so maybe it's taken about 2.5 hours to do this, which is about half an hour longer than I expected it to take. But there you go. Yeah, these things are super easy to make. Like I said, only use broken DSs. And you can make a DS Macro Argon Advance Neon Advance thing. So if you found the video useful and you're still watching, which I'll be highly surprised by, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can like and subscribe down below. I need to take a break and a drink and stuff. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.